Okay, so we are here today with Greg Barnett from Greg Barnett Photography, and he's going to tell us just a little bit about what it's like to be a photographer. So we want to thank you so much for joining us today and for talking with our high school students. We really appreciate it. So just tell us a little bit what it's like in the world of photography day to
Oh,
day.
uh, thanks for having me on here, and thanks for asking, and I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, day to day life of a photographer. It's something that you really wouldn't expect. Everybody just sees the photos or sees someone with a camera shooting, but it goes a little bit beyond that. Some days it does involve that. It's going out and shooting an event or shooting a senior or a family portrait or something like that. It does involve that, but there's editing time that is done after that. A lot of folks don't see the editing side, and those are the long hours after the shoot that happens, or the uploading process. But the majority of a lot of it is administrative. It's for the most part just like any other small business. Um, and the situation with a small business like mine is that I'm the only employee. So all the administrative work falls down upon me, which could be billing, it could be deposits, balancing your books, anything that a small business would do. Um, because I'm a small business, I end up with tax reporting and reporting to the state on sales tax and things like that. It's things that you don't see, you know, that really take up a lot of the time away from shooting and editing. So it's a lot of it's administrative, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. A lot more than just taking pictures, I know, goes
Sure.
into it, I'm sure. So
Absolutely.
can you tell our students a little bit about what kind of led you into this field of photography? Did you always enjoy taking pictures, always good at it? Like, what kind of led you to this point of starting this small business?
Um, I was probably, I don't know if it was my um, sophomore and junior year in high school at Princeton. I'm a graduate of Princeton High School, and I can't remember exactly when it was, but I needed an elective, and so I joined in with the newspaper staff at the high school. Back then, it was called the Tiger Tribune, and we they needed a photographer, so I joined in with the Tiger Tribune and took pictures, and they gave you assignments, and you went out and took whatever photo that uh, the advisor at the time told you to go out and take. So I did that. I shot a lot of sports, obviously, but I also shot a lot of school life things, and you learn from there. And after you became involved in the yearbook staff and all of those things that go on, and then one thing leads to another, and you leave school, but you never leave your camera. You just keep it with you, and so it just evolved from there.
What would you say to students if they're interested in something in photography, any type of background they need to consider or schooling or anything?
Yeah, so there, it really depends on the avenue. There's so many directions with photography. I mean, um, it's like anything else that you do. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. There are schools and there are degrees that you can get. You can get an associate's degree, you can get a bachelor's degree within photography if you want. Those could be helpful if you're going to someplace like New York City. You're going to work with a huge commercial firm that has large corporate clients, right? And so those types of degrees could be helpful. One of the main things that or at least a background that I think is really important for photography is art. Study art. You can never go wrong with studying the concepts of art, because years ago, paintings and things that were done years ago, those techniques and those things that they used in are still appealing to the eye, and those things haven't gone away for making a good photo. So that's one avenue. Obviously, just find something that you enjoy taking photos of, right? And just push the shutter
Practice.
and shoot. Practice, practice, practice. I learn every day. Um, I'm a member of the Professional Photographers of America, and they have an online class and an online learning site that you can go and learn techniques, um, shooting techniques, editing techniques, business techniques. I mean, if you've never ran a business before, they help you with that. So every day I do something to try to help me learn a little bit more about the art of photography that I didn't know. So it's a nonstop type of thing.
Right. What would you tell students would be one of the most challenging things in this line of work?
Yeah, so the challenging thing for me is balancing shooting and some of the things we talked about before: shooting time, editing, learning, just the administrative. That whole thing is just trying to find time to balance, because as a small business, you're a person of one, and somebody may contact you to go cover an event or shoot something. Maybe you have a senior shoot today at 5 o'clock. Well, someone else might have wanted the same time or needs something right away, and so it's very difficult. So I think the most difficult thing for me, number one, is to try to find balance, and number two is just to try to continue to stay relevant. And what I mean by that is staying relevant in a digital world. The world around us is, as we're meeting here today, it's changing. We're meeting via Teams, and the entire way that we share photos now and images has been changed. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, everyone had paper copies of their photos, right? You'd go into a house and there would be everything framed up and nicely hung. And now everything is pretty much held in the palm of our hands. All of our photos are held right on a phone. So trying to stay relevant in a digital world where there's a lot of filters being used and things like that, you try to keep your craft and your photography very relevant. So those are two challenges that I face.
I think photography would be very rewarding also. What would you tell students would be one of the most rewarding things about this career?
Yeah, so you're exactly correct. It is very satisfying and very rewarding. For me, it comes in two different ways. Number one, I shoot a lot of action. I shoot a lot of sporting events, and when I'm able to capture that one shot, that wow shot, right? Whether it be during a game or if it's after the game and it's in a very emotional type of photo, that really is just a very satisfying moment for me, just even looking at it at the back of the camera. So that's one. But the second most rewarding thing is if you're doing a family portrait, or maybe you're taking a senior and you turn that portfolio over to the client, and they look at that and they're like, wow, those are just so good. That's the other side of the reward. Those two things, it's just gratifying.
I would say so. What advice would you give to students if they would maybe want to pursue this type of career? Any advice for them?
Yeah, I think the main thing is that if you're really interested in it, start shooting. Get a camera. Um, the One of the things is that I mean, when I say a camera, I'm talking about uh, a digital DSLR, if you can do that, because they're just so versatile and so useful. Everybody has a camera, right? We all have one right here. So
Right.
everyone, we carry one in our pockets every day, but just by taking a good photo with a good camera, learning how to use the camera, learning how to to try to control light. I don't know if you ever can 100% control light, but learning how to control light and how to use light to your advantage to make a great image, learning the techniques. That's what I would say. Start out by just shooting something that you love, and then read, study, and do get as much information as you can. Talk to as many people as you can.
Right.
One of the reasons I like to shoot to shoot sports, and even at the college level, is because when you show up there, there are just so many great photographers there. They may be from the Associated Press or Getty Images, or they could be from USA Today, and you're starting to talk to these people, and you're watching them, and it's always best, and it's been said, that if you surround yourself, or you work with people that are better than you will always elevate,
Right.
or most of the time you'll elevate what you're trying to do. And when you go shoot a college event and there's a guy there from Getty Images, you really want to do your best. And so I would say, surround yourself, or hang out or talk to people that are better than you, so that you can get better.
What about any life advice in general for high school students? Not
Don't
necessarily
cut corners.
related to
Yeah,
photography.
don't cut corners. There no way to cut. There's no way to cut a corner. And I'll relate it to photography. Okay. But in life, it's I found it to be is to be very similar. Um, Now we have Photoshop, and we have all these great digital things to help us enhance our photos, or we have filters on our phones, whether it be through Instagram or Snapchat, or wherever those filters are coming from, right? We have all these things that enhance our photos, but nothing can replace a great photo. And to take a great photo, you need to learn how to do that. And that takes time, and that takes practice, and that takes effort and discipline and sacrifice. It's just like life, right? No matter, so think about photography for a second. No matter how many things you do post photo, right? Post processing, if you have a bad photo, if you took a bad photo, you can't make that photo any more than what it is, which is, a not so great photo. But if you take a great photo at the beginning, then the sky's the limit with what you can do with that. Same way in life, if you learn in whatever you're doing, or you apply yourself 100%, and you do it right at the front end, and you don't cut the corners, and you figure out how to do whatever you're doing in life, then everything else kind of flows. At least that's what I've seen.
I think that's great advice. Very, very good. We just want to thank you for talking with our students today, and just giving a little bit of advice and letting them know a little bit about what you do. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Greg Barnett, very much.
Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. And want everyone to have a great day.
Thank you.